Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Allen, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Petty Officer Benjamin Hale. We warmly welcome the family of Private Roylance Eric Adamson, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of A.B. Patterson College from Arundel, Queensland. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catafalque party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Catapult party, attention! Catapult party, present, arms!
Australians all at arms.
If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Roylance Eric Adamson. Roylance Adamson was born in Sydney on the 13th of August 1905, the son of John and Barbara Adamson. He grew up in the inner west of Sydney, surrounded by a large family, and went on to work as a chairmaker. He also spent 5 years as a member of the militia, parading part-time with the 36th Battalion, known as St George's English Rifle Regiment. Roylance Adamson enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force at Paddington on the 27th of March 1940. He began training and continued until August, when he was granted pre-embarkation leave. At the end of the month, he embarked for overseas service. Having arrived in Palestine in late September, he was transferred to the 2nd 3rd Battalion in November. After further training in Palestine and Egypt, the 2nd 3rd took part in its first campaign, the advance against the Italians in eastern Libya in January 1941. The battalion was involved in the successful attacks at Bardia and Tobruk, and remained as part of the Tobruk garrison when the advance continued. Private Adamson came through the fighting unscathed, but was charged with losing a piece of equipment, his respirator, and fined. The 2nd 3rd left Tobruk in early March, ultimately bound with the rest of the 6th Division for Greece. Arriving in Greece in March, Adamson and his comrades were soon deployed north to resist the anticipated German invasion. They occupied positions at Veria in late April, but a succession of Allied withdrawals meant that the battalion did not meet enemy in battle until the 18th of April at Tempe Gorge. There, the 2nd 3rd supported the 2nd Battalion and blocked German movement through the gorge, allowing the unhindered withdrawal of Allied forces further south. The 2nd 3rd itself was forced to withdraw by nightfall, and it ended its activities in Greece with the evacuation by sea from Kalamata on the 27th of April. While the bulk of the battalion returned to Palestine, many failed to make the trip. A group of 141 troops later fought with the 16th Brigade Composite Battalion on Crete after the transport carrying them away from Greece was sunk. Among them, Private Adamson was reported missing, believed to be a prisoner of war. A Red Cross report stated that he was last seen with a group of men in a truck on the road between Athens and Kalamata. A witness reported, "We went in a convoy at night and there was a lot of confusion. They must have lost their way, as we never saw them next day." Adamson was reported as having been captured in Greece on the 11th of May, and in November that year was confirmed as being a prisoner of war of the Germans. Adamson was held at Stalags in Slovenia and in the south of Austria near the towns of Spittal and Der Dror and Wolfsburg. His brother Noel also had the misfortune to become a prisoner of war. Having served as a signaller with the 8th Division Signals, Noel became a prisoner of war of the Japanese, was held in a camp in Fukuoka in Japan. At the end of the war, Noel returned to Australia. Roylance Adams, however, would not live to see his brother again. On the 1st of February 1945, he was killed during the Allied aerial bombardment of Graz, the capital city of the southern Austrian province of Styria. He was 39 years old. Today, his remains lie buried at Klagenfurt War Cemetery under the inscription, "His duty nobly done, always remembered by those who loved him." His name is listed on the roll of honour on my left, among nearly 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Roylance Eric Adamson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Catapult party, present, arms. Catapult party, shoulder, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, inwards, turn. Catapult party, quick, march.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.